How's the resale game been?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you gotten your numbers back up from your dip after moving and everything?
Yes and no. I had a couple more weeks where it was a little bit of struggle. But I've been pretty darn consistent the past couple weeks. Just mainly with listing.
Like regularly?
On a regular basis, and every day, a minimum of like 3.
Nice.
I've had more often 5 to 10, somewhere in that range.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. That's
better than we're doing as far as that, but we will, like in a previous episode, I think within the last couple weeks it went live, we were talking about, I was talking about wanting to be more consistent. And I think we're almost at the end of May now, and I think for the entire month we've managed to get at least one thing live every day, and Hannah has it scheduled out to the end of the month.
Nice.
So I have a couple of things I need to do, but the drafts are on there for me just to finish them. And then in June, we're going to shoot for doing 2 a day and scheduling them out. That way we can just have them.
Boom.
We have something drop every day. And our sales have been a little on the lower end the last week or two. And we sold a couple of things the other day. I'm hoping something sells today. I don't know. But Hannah's theory is that it's a holiday weekend and that's affecting it.
It could be.
So, I don't know.
I've been noticing a dip for a few days.
You have?
Where, especially on eBay. But like I've been listing more on Mercari than eBay because Mercari did this big thing. They have no seller fees now.
Oh.
So like.
How do they make money?
They put it all on the buyer.
So they just tack an additional fee on top of the buyer?
They already did have a fee on the buyer.
So they were double dipping.
And they just left it all on the buyer instead of the seller now.
What is the impetus for the change?
I have no idea, but
I wonder if it's to better compete with eBay.
Probably.
Because eBay's fees are getting like ridiculous.
I mean, I've listed most of my magic stuff on Mercari over eBay because I'm like, I'd rather earn that full amount than.
Yeah, has it been going well?
Oh yeah, I mean, I sold more than $200 worth.
Oh, that's really good.
Is
this just out of your like generic big bins?
No, it's more my binders, my personal collection.
Stuff? Okay.
Yeah, but I think the most expensive thing out of all that was like a $30-something card.
Oh, so nothing
nothing major, nothing massive. It's just been
consistent. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Especially if it's stuff that you're not really using anymore, and you can just turn it around in some cash.
And if I'm able to put the full value of what I'm selling into my pocket, basically, because it's not going to eBay, it's just like, cool. So, actually, and then if you count CardSphere, I did another, like, 80-something, but...
Did you put your nicer stuff on there?
Not really. CardSphere is very specific, where it's better to sell stuff under $10 on there, because CardSphere is a buyer's market. So you can say you have this card available, but if a buyer isn't there to buy the card, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because
it's people looking for very specific things.
Yeah,
basically.
And they say if you wanted this one specific card, you would go, I want it for 60% value. Okay, so it's not like an eBay where they're showing it to people. It's very niche, but it's a good way for me to go through a lot of dollar cards. I can turn like...
And you have hundreds
10,
of those,
yeah,
right?
and I can turn like 10 $1 cards into $10 just because a lot of people are willing to pay like 75-80% of the value to get that card, and it works out a little bit different. But
interesting. You have a few little different niche platforms that you sell on.
But I'm working on mainly Mercari with that. With my magic crap, just because I want to try to downsize most of my collection. I have too much of it. Yeah. But I've been trying to do most other things on eBay because it's the same thing. Mercari, the market is weird because there will be some items like that should be selling well.
They don't.
And it doesn't have the eyes.
Are buyers at Mercari a little cheaper?
Yeah.
Is it a younger demographic?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might affect it too. Because like eBay, I think, has a really wide demographic, but I do think they tend to skew middle-aged and older. I'm not sure how many 20-somethings are on eBay compared to like how many 50 somethings are on eBay.
And I know that with eBay specifically, it's so nice that you can list something on eBay, you pay that extra 2%, and then your thing is like really shown.
Yeah.
And even
they have a large buyer base, which is
other websites, and it helps. So overall, I would much rather just keep selling on eBay, but having no fees for selling is just kind of like,
especially with magic, where you're selling to a younger audience that's probably on Mercari anyway.
Yeah.
Looking for a good deal.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. When did they implement that?
I want to say it was in like the tail end of April.
So recently.
Yeah, and I was just like, I didn't even read it because I was just like, yeah, sure, it's going to be temporary or like this weekend only or something. And then it kept just showing up as a pop-up, and I was like, well, all right, what is this about? And I read through it, and they're just like, they're gone, no more, finished.
Yeah, I wonder if they want to take a lot more market share up, and they're competing with eBay and it. So I think that's the way to do it.
That's my guess.
It's not a terrible strategy.
No, and I've had to list a few things like slightly cheaper than eBay pricing, but the difference is I'm not losing that 15%. Yeah, and I'm putting, $1 less in my pocket, and it's like
it's worth it in the end, basically. Yeah, I think, I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like Etsy fees, like a lot of makers, and it's a different thing. I'm a reseller, so it's vintage stuff. It's stuff that other companies have made years ago, and or collectibles or decor, that kind of stuff. So I'm not a maker, and I know it's a different thing to be an artist or to be a crafter, and you're actually putting your time and your energy into making a thing, and then to have a company come and take a huge chunk out of the profit, and especially when a lot of people look at like artists and stuff and don't value their work and their time. Unless they really know an artist and know how many hours of work and how expensive art products are and how much money and time goes into like a painting, there are people who are just like, it's like, why is it the $500? Because they spent $100 in paint and also 80 hours to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a different thing to be a seller of those things on Etsy, but as a reseller of vintage collectibles, that kind of thing, I think Etsy fees are quite a bit lower than eBay's. I feel like they are. And the nice thing about them too is when you put an amount in the how much you want, like on the form you're filling out, it'll tell you what the profit is. Like it'll show you right underneath it, like what that's gonna be.
That's pretty nice.
Which it is a nice feature because you don't have to do all the mental gymnastics and all the math. And especially because in eBay you really have all this crap you have to keep in your head because they charge different fees based on different categories, which is ridiculous. Some of the categories are over 15%, which is just insane. And so, it's an interesting thing. And I wasn't sure for a while on Etsy on whether we wanted to keep Etsy, if that was something that was really worth it. But we had that one really huge sale of the face thing. And then we've sold a few things since then.
Oh, nice.
And we sold something this last week, even. It was a small thing. What was that?
So with those items, are you like cross-posting when you do that? No, you just choose one and stick with it? We are
basically, we choose one and stick with it. And Etsy is more curated than eBay is. So my generic crap that I pick up, like we sold a bath support rail this week on eBay. That is something that it was in my house because someone who needed it lived here before us. And we just wanted to get rid of it. So I listed that on eBay. No big deal. It's a wide open marketplace. I don't care that much that it's outside of my niche. I just wanted to sell it and get rid of it. But on Etsy, we curate a lot more about what kinds of things go on there. We're looking things that are aesthetic. And that might fit into specific aesthetics that are popular right now. So you've got the cottagecore, you've got these different, you've got retro. For instance, actually something I picked up a couple things I picked up at a garage sale. I picked up these little mushrooms, and I thought these are vintage. I think it's Guillot. It's French, Guillot, from France. Vintage mushrooms, ceramic mushrooms. And I saw these at the garage sale, and I thought, I bought these for Etsy, specifically. I don't intend to sell these on eBay. I think they will go well on Etsy, and I think they will be valuable on Etsy. Because a certain type of consumer goes to Etsy versus one that goes to eBay. So I picked these up for $10 a piece, which is a lot for a yard sale. And I was taking a little bit of a gamble based on my intuition, I guess, and what I know.
Like the moss that's around the mushrooms.
You can see that they even made like a little base for them. So it's not just a mushroom with a plain old base. And I actually looked up one on Etsy. I found one that had sold on Etsy from this brand. It was a different style mushroom for like $56 by itself. So I made a good gamble on these because I paid $20 for the set. But I bought these knowing they would go to Etsy. And there are some things that we've tried on eBay that we may switch over to Etsy that now I think they'll do better on Etsy, because at first we were just putting a few things on Etsy to kind of see how it went. And then we're like, all right, we need to give it at least a good go before we decide yes or no. So we started posting more. And as we've been posting more, particularly over the last month or so, I have seen our views do the same thing that any algorithm-based
just like
thing
anything
does.
else.
And so I'm seeing lots of views every week now.
Yeah.
And we've made, like I said, a couple of more small sales. We've fleshed out our site. We have people favoriting our items and watching our items. And so I think we're going to keep it. And so I'm continuing, as I'm sourcing now, I'm thinking, okay, that would be, those mushrooms, that would be a great thing for Etsy. I think somebody will pay, I'm hoping, if I get $30 off of each of those, I think that's pretty good at $10 a piece. That's 3 times what I paid. I would love to get $100 for the pair or something like that, or $50 a piece. And like I said, I saw one that sold for $56 from that line, not the exact mushroom. And then I saw another comp maybe in that $28, $30 range. But I think I can get that on Etsy. I don't think I could get that on eBay. I mean, maybe there's the one buyer on eBay where I could, but I think people on eBay tend to be a little bit cheaper, maybe more deal focused, whereas I feel like Etsy, they're looking for specific things that fit their style, that they'll love, something that they really want.
Etsy is more, I'm buying this for my house or a guest or a gift.
Yes. A collector
versus
their
eBay,
mindset's different.
They're looking for something, but who knows what it's for, but mainly it's for themselves. But it's not, this is the be all die all for this will be really perfect in my house. Right.
And like it might be you're on eBay and you're like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's $10. And so I'm not saying I couldn't get that, but there are certain things that I will funnel towards Etsy because I feel like that buyer is on Etsy more than they're on eBay in the range that I want. And so, for instance, I think this could sell on eBay, but this is another thing I picked up at a garage sale. It's a Beatrix powder, just little tin, and I paid a couple of bucks for it, $2 to be exact, and I thought this would be a great small for Etsy, because a lot of our Etsy stuff, we have way over, like 20 or way over. I thought maybe $15 on this, someone would think that's really cute and pick it up for their kids' room, or just because they're into college core and they like little whimsical things. And so I am sourcing now with Etsy in mind, eBay in mind. But we have a couple of things, as I mentioned, that I think we're going to transfer over to Etsy. So the deer, you guys have probably seen them if you watch for any length of time, in the background of our videos, the deer candle holders, they've not sold on eBay. And I'm wondering if it's just not the right market for them, and if someone on Etsy is more likely to appreciate those. So
now you gotta go download. But that's the nice thing. Oh, you've already done most of the legwork.
Oh yeah, I will copy and paste across, and Hannah keeps backlogs of she keeps her photos.
Yeah.
So
or you could even just screenshot and.
Yeah. So it'll be an easy thing. So we're gonna look at transferring a few things over because of that. But I have really seen that uptick in views, and then, like I said, we've had a couple extra sales in the last couple of months, and some of them were small. Like I sold I think it was an $18 item with a little bit of shipping. It was a Dickie, so it was like a false collar, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a collar that you would tuck under a shirt, and it was a little like a 1960s vintage one. So we are seeing those sales, but we did have a couple of like really big sales too, and that the face one really I feel like turned the corner.
Yeah.
Because how quickly they sold. Like, I mean, we put them up and they sold so fast. So, yep, that's the Etsy update. Is I think we're gonna stick with it. I think as we get more and more things on there, we can really get a curated.
And overall, that's
store.
more of the niche, the particular market that you're looking to get into anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And just everything else, like you were saying before, if you were to open up your own booth somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
you'd want to focus on
It would look more like
eclectic.
Etsy. It would look much more like it.
And everything else just kind of goes up on eBay and go from there. So
yeah, and I think it depends on the age of the collector too. I think there's a lot of younger people on Etsy, younger to middle-aged, and I think eBay, like we said, is probably more middle-aged and older.
Mm-hmm.
And so things like, I picked up at the bins some Waterford crystal. I was showing you this off camera, and I think that's going to eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying there couldn't be a buyer on Etsy, but a lot of older people are the ones that are going to appreciate the crystal. And so I think some of it's pretty, and I kept a little crystal thing that I found, but I don't know that 40 and under is the big market for crystal, and I think eBay is the right market for that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. It's all about knowing your audience. Just like if you're writing something or making a video, you got to know your audience. And I think selling's the same way. But I've considered more. Talking about like Etsy's kind of like the niche that we want to be in anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking more and more about splitting our business into two, where Keeled Overstock is that vintage. Collectible decor entity, and then we do like a kitchenwares set, because I really do enjoy buying, like shopping for and picking up kitchenware, which is weird. Like, we sold 2 little Le Parfait, which are French canning jar, like swing top jar, glass jars. We sold a set of 2 this week. That's the other thing we sold at the end of the week. And so I enjoy picking up those things, and I know about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really thinking, we're not there yet, because I think it doesn't make sense with the size of our business, but down the line I can almost see them having a subsidiary or something for.
I don't know
for
if
the
you
other.
would want to with eBay specifically.
I'm thinking my own site,
but
like a Shopify site or something.
Your own.
Because I feel like there's this like, the secondhand market is hot.
Yeah. And
millennials and Gen Z in particular value secondhand more than previous generations
Mm-hmm.
have, for at least a few decades. And so I see that getting bigger. And for me, when I look at like a houseware site, for instance, a kitchenware or kitchen adjacent, like dinnerware, that kind of thing, I really do think there's a market for high quality items at a discount price.
Mm-hmm.
But they would be collected in an easy to find way. So like, if you go into the thrift store, you have to know what you're looking for. It's, it's not curated at all. You got to dig through all the garbage to find the good stuff. And that's not everybody's jam. But they may still want a high quality glass or a high quality kitchen machine, And so I do think there's a market there, and I've not heard of a store specifically addressing this kind of need, and do not steal my idea. But so I wondered if that might be, because it is something that I enjoy and like to look for.
Yeah. What else have you been up to in the past 2 weeks?
We held a garage sale.
Yeah.
So last weekend we did a 2-day garage sale. It was a community sale, so we were on a map, which was nice, and I think that really helped our traffic. We didn't sell as much as I would like to. We still ended up donating a ton of stuff because we just wanted, I needed to go, So Hannah and I pulled some stuff out of our business, things that have been sitting too long or that are lower value, and then we're just like, we just want them out of our face.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled quite a few things, and I think the business stuff we sold like $100 worth, which isn't bad, and it cleaned out a lot of our inventory. After the sale, we went through and pulled out things that we wanted to go ahead and keep listed or adjust the listing. Like for instance, we had these, they were given to us by somebody, and we had them listed for a while. They were 2 teapots, and one of them had like it's called a drippolator, so it had like a aluminum insert that you would almost like a pour over coffee, but like from a long time ago.
Yeah.
And both of the teapots had something wrong with it. Like one had the stem broken off the lid, and one had chips and stuff. and they never sold online. So we put them in the garage sale, didn't sell, and so we took out the aluminum insert and just donated the teapots to the Goodwill to get rid of them. And so they're probably going to end up trashed eventually, unless they did have like a sort of kitschy vibe. So maybe somebody might want to rescue them just for a few bucks, just to put flowers in or something. You know, I don't know. People buy all kinds of stuff, but
I mean, think about the amount of things you've bought just to resell.
Yeah, like
have
you never know,
sold,
right?
So. And
so, I mean, it's not that there isn't a use for those things, but we didn't find the buyer and we were tired of having them around. But we took the insert because we had sold a drip-a-later insert by itself previously, because a lot of times I think those inserts went missing and people will have the actual pots that they go to and not have the insert, the part. So basically it relegates it turns into just a generic teapot at that point without the it's not really a filter, but kind of, it has like little holes in the bottom. I think you just did a pour over kind of situation with it. So anyway, things like that we pulled out of the garage sale if they didn't sell. In fact, I need to clean out my garage because we've got some stuff in there that we pulled back to relist or whatever. But we did get rid of quite a bit of stuff, got rid of some personal stuff. My in-laws brought some stuff over, so they made a little bit of money. It was like we had 4 or 5 different people. It was a mess to keep track of, let me tell you that. But yeah, so we did that, and I've done some sourcing. Like I said, I went to the bins, had a good bins haul, which I should share with some of you guys. But yeah, that's basically a little bit of sourcing, a little bit of garage selling. How about you?
Just working on going through my own stuff, listing more, and I did stop at a couple garage sales.
Anything good?
One, I still haven't listed it yet, and I'm kicking myself that I haven't listed it yet. I found a server, like a computer server, for
like an old one, or?
It's got a SSD, so newer.
Not super old.
Not just an old used server for $20. So.
What's their market?
Untested, like 80. So I'm
really decent.
I'm happy.
Really decent.
And I'm like, I don't want to test it, and I'm just gonna. What's
the markup on tested ones?
It was like brand new was like $200 to $300. Tested would probably be like 150 or so. And I was just like, yeah, sure, here you go, $20. I got great stuff at that sale because we got that, a new like side table to put. We have a leopard gecko to put the gecko's tank on, and while we were buying that, they're like, oh well, we had the end tables for that too. Do you want those? We'll give them to you for $5.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
sure. Because I'm thinking, worst case scenario, if we don't like them, Facebook Marketplace, or even my own garage sale.
Yeah. How's the preparations for that going?
So been doing a lot in the garage to prepare it. More stuff is cleaned out, figuring out, there's actually a good third of the garage probably is sorted, cleaned, stuff's being put away, nice. It's been coming along. I actually found a free table sitting on the side of the road the other day too, which having tables for a garage sale is very useful.
Yep.
But
are you actually gonna have it in your garage?
Yeah.
So you don't have to haul it out. That's nice. We did a yard sale, so it was hauling in and out, and then it rained like buckets, like a literal deluge. Thankfully, we had put, it was downpour, ridiculous. And we had put, it didn't rain during the sale at all. We had put most of the clothes, thankfully, thank heaven, we put all the clothes in the garage. Anything that was really wet, or anything that was really like fabric or like the chairs you brought, those got put in the garage. None of that got wet. But we had a few tables that were like, oh, okay, well, let's leave them out here. We threw a tarp over one, and then we have this awning tent that we pushed as low as it would go, but it rained so freaking hard that it didn't matter. It blew off the tarps, and so we got home. We had gone out to eat. We got home and had to spend like an hour drying stuff out, and thankfully, we didn't lose a lot to that. Like, we had a lot of dishes and stuff that, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
but
It's just more
was,
obnoxious than
there were
anything.
some boxes that got wet, like boxes that were on things and different things that got wet, and it was so annoying. We lucked out though. The sale itself was fine. The weather was good. Next day, weather was good. Most of the stuff, like I said, we were able to dry out. We had a fan going in the garage overnight with the stuff on the tables, so that was annoying, but that's what we get for being lazy, because we could have just pulled them all in the garage and been done with it, and we were stupid.
See, that's the nice thing. I have the space, and I was thinking, because I have technically a smaller shed, in addition to my pole barn. I was initially thinking I'm going to just clean out the shed and just put stuff in there, but an animal's been living in there, so
in your shed,
like a squirrel or a chipmunk or something. So the whole thing stinks, and
too much work to clean it out right now.
I just don't want to deal with it. There's one extra thing on top of the list of stuff that I got to take care of, but stopped at a few other garage sales. I just haven't been finding anything that's been like, I should get that to sell. Or aside from, I did pick up a leather hat. Paid $1 for it. I'm like, oh, I love gambling.
Like a baseball cap?
No, like a cowboy hat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good shape?
It needs a little work. Needs some like leather cleaner, but I paid $1 for it, and I love gambling those dollars.
I know you do.
And I think it's from like the late 80s, early 90s. I put it up for $25. It hasn't sold yet, but they average like nicer condition, like $40.
So 20 or 25 is probably not bad.
I'd be happy with $20 because, like I said, I paid $1 for it. So
yeah, as long as it's not cracking, leather's pretty. Easy to refurb.
And that's the thing. It doesn't have any cracks. It doesn't have any pits. It's got one small scratch where it looked like he just like scratched it or something. But
that's nature leather though.
But I was just like, yeah, I don't want to take the time to clean it up myself. I'll just give somebody a better discount. So
yeah, I haven't been doing. When we held the garage sale, because it was the community sale, Hannah and I went out and did a little garage selling during that time. Like I bought the shirt for 50 cents.
Okay.
But we didn't find a lot for the business. Other than that same weekend, I did find the mushrooms, but that was not the sale we were in. It was a different sale in the area. But it is what it is. I plan on stopping it more this summer. But when are you hoping to hold your garage sale?
Maybe in a couple weeks. Because initially we were going to do it the same weekend that you're doing yours. And then I had just too much life nonsense going on, so it got pushed out. But we're hoping maybe in a couple weeks.
I have a question for you. How do you decide what you're pulling from your online stores to sell in your garage sale?
So I'm kind of doing a jumble of things. When I haven't gone through any of my inventory to pull yet. I figured I'll do that when I'm actually running the sale. Right now I'm just cleaning out other stuff and looking at stuff I haven't listed yet and going, do I want to list this? Yes.
Okay. So you're going through your death pile.
Yeah, my death pile.
Just to see if there's anything that's worth it or not.
But when I do get to that point, because one of the things I try to do about every month while I'm sitting there on the couch watching a movie or something, I'll scroll through and look at all my old listings and see what has no views. What has no watchers and like 5 views. Because I have a few items. They've just been sitting there. And I'll either drop the price on them. Sometimes like I'll reevaluate and it turns out, oh well, when I listed it, eBay recommended this way of shipping it. And so the shipping for the item was like $30 and I just have to input a couple numbers and it adjusts and it goes, oh well, here's what the shipping really should be. And then I don't have to adjust the price. But I'll do that, not consistently, but I'll try to do it about every month where I'll go through my really old listings. And I already have some items I've dropped the price already. When it comes time for my sale, while I'm sitting there waiting for customers, I'm going to go through, delete those listings where I've already dropped the price. And they still have like no views. Yep. And a lot of it is just honestly baseball hats and clothing. because when I was first getting started, I hopped on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was just giving for free bags of clothing, men's clothing. I'm like, cool. I went. They were in an apartment complex right next door to mine. Went and picked them up after work, and I had 2 giant grocery bags full of clothes. I started listing. I think I made like an easy $80, $90 from shirts and pants out of that. And I had some of it, it wasn't even worth my time listing. It went into another bag, went right back to Goodwill. I had a few of them I listed, and even though I've dropped the price since then, they're still there. There's just not a market.
Put a buck on them in the sale and call it a day.
Yeah. Yep.
That makes sense.
So, and overall, I don't think I'm going to worry about anything else where it's like, it's got views and it just hasn't sold. I'm worried about the stuff that's like, wow, this has no views, no sales. Look up the item. Is it just because I have the item priced $2 more than everybody else? Or do I have the item priced plus shipping and everybody else is selling it with free shipping?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have 230 something listed on eBay. I think when I do pull stuff out, I'll maybe pull out like 20 items.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense for you to go through your death pile because you were less selective.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, you like to gamble.
I like to
garage
gamble.
sale last year, so I think it makes sense to me.
I didn't have a ton of time to go out to Goodwill consistently.
Yeah.
And I was just like...
So most of the stuff you were getting was $1 here, $2 there.
Yeah.
It's way easier for you, and I think we were more selective. I was more selective
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. So I was going through stuff that's just been sitting.
Yeah.
Or stuff that we added to eBay that was from our personal
Mm-hmm.
stuff that has just been sitting. So that's how I did it. But I mean, it does make sense that you would go through your death pile.
Yeah. Which is crazy. I opened up a tote just last night. And I was like, oh my gosh, why have I not been listing this stuff? It had a camera. I listed it today. It sold for $50. Like, it was only up for maybe 2 hours.
Jeez. So annoying because you could have had that. But, maybe that buyer would not have been there 2 months ago.
But, like, the market for that camera consistently are like $50, $55. I could have had that sold ages ago. I had a video game in there that was like $150. I had a whole bunch of manuals for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Some of them, they sell for $25 a piece. And I'm just like, get in the house. I gotta list all this stuff. And so going through all that, very nice. Because it gets added stuff to my inventory.
And then you find your good stuff that you haven't.
Yeah, and
so you can sort out the stuff that's and find your good stuff and put it away.
And from that tote, sure enough, I have like 5 things in there. They're not going to even hit eBay. They're going to go garage sale because I just don't want to deal with them.
Nice.
So
that'll be a relief too if you can get rid of a lot of stuff in your garage sale.
Mm-hmm. And I don't plan on just doing the one. I plan on doing at least 2, maybe 3, depending on my schedule. Because I'd rather do it like that and try to get some money for some of the stuff, even if I have to go through and be like, everything's half off on the last sale for the summer. Everything's half off. Get rid of it. Because to me, most of the stuff I got in there, I already have earned my profit back more than likely, or I got it for $1.
It's just cherry on the top, or getting your money back. Yeah, that makes sense.
But
anyway, have you got anything else, or you?
No,
I think it's a good place to close her out.
Probably.
Thank you for joining us again for the Secondhand Sellers Podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Klayton.
We talk about everything resale, thrift, and secondhand every week. Usually on Thursdays. So join us again next week. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed our content. And we also love comments. Have a great day and happy thrifting.
Yeah.
Bye.